everybody, so you've looked at the first video with the description of each clair and roughly what they mean and how they work. And now what we're going to do within this video is we are going to take one of those clairs and we are going to focus more in depth with one of those. The clair that I've chosen to focus on in this video is clairvoyance. Now the reason why I've chosen to focus on this particular clair first is because it is one of the more common clairs, okay? And it's one of the clairs that come in more so for people. The reason why it's more common is because the ways in which we see, remember from the list, internally seeing and externally seeing, but with the ways in which we see, there are a lot more ways of how we see. Dreaming, meditations, visuals in meditations, or visuals just that come into your head when you're in your waking life, premonitions, flashbacks, deja vu, memories, pictures, symbols, colours, patterns, random things that we see within our mind, and also obviously all of the external things as well. So there's a very wide sector of how we can see. Now, how we see individually depends on how in tune we are or how we're developing our skill set with our clear seeing, okay? So some of you may find that you see a lot straight away already, and some of you may find that you may be not that visual, okay? But we have a couple of techniques coming up in this class which are going to help you to start to practice getting your clear seeing sensory more strengthened. Okay, so you may well find that you find it quite easy, or you may find it quite difficult. But what I would say is please do stick with it, because there will be your clairvoyance working within you. So a lot of people get stumbled on if they don't visually see, okay? If they do meditations and they don't see anything. If they do practices and techniques, they don't see anything. But what I'm inclined to say to you is please do not let that hold you back, because just because you're maybe not seeing as strongly as some others, it doesn't mean that the messages and the psychism and the skill set isn't there. It just means that maybe this is a clair that isn't working as strongly within your sensory system as some of the other clairs. But you can strengthen it, hence why we do these classes and these practices to strengthen it, okay? So because you're not necessarily seeing or seeing much, please do not let that faze you, because actually there will be other clairs that are working. This is why we have to do all of the clairs together, because actually once we can start learning each clair individually, we can really understand how they start to come in, when they're coming in, and which other clairs they are starting to ignite. So make sure you've got your pen and paper ready for when we do the tasks coming up, because it will be important for you to write down your experiences and what you got, okay? And I really want you to really focus and be really aware of all of the things that you feel, hear, as well as the seeing, okay? Because you will start to become more and more aware over time of how the clair seeing ignites the rest of your other clairs. So task 1, it's quite a simple little task, and I'm doing this to start with because it's easier than some of the other tasks, and it's just an exploration of what you feel or see or hear, okay? But this is a really good task to just get yourself more focused regarding your clear seeing. So I'm going to show you an image in a moment, and I'm going to ask you to just take in whatever it is you're receiving via this image. I will guide you into it, and then I will guide you what to do next, okay? So I'm going to get this image now. So I've got an image here of the inner child card. Some of you may be aware of this card if you have that particular deck. Now, for this image, the whole purpose is you're not supposed to read the card. I just liked the image because I thought it had some brilliant colours and for the purpose of what we're doing. So what I would like you to do is I would like you to just focus on this image now as I'm talking, and just start to get yourself aware and acquainted with everything that is in this image, okay? Soak in the colours, where the colours are, soak in the shapes and the patterns, the sun shining, how many suns are in there. Soak in the background of the picture, what the lady is wearing, how she is stood and how she is facing, what she is doing. You may already be receiving particular feelings or ideas or thoughts about this particular card or image. The colours may make you feel particular things within your own self. And that's fine because you're already starting to become aware of how this card makes you feel yourself. Soak in the box here that surrounds it, the white lines here, the 0 up there. Any other information like the butterflies, the colour of the basket, how the basket's led, perhaps even the words. And just take this time to just really, really become acquainted with this card. It doesn't matter whether you like the image or not. Some of you may be very drawn to it, some of you may not be drawn to it. That's fine. And now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to now close your eyes. Okay, close your eyes now and just start to visualize this image in your mind. As you visualize this image in your mind now, start to become aware of those colours that stood out to you. Start to become aware of the patterns that you remember seeing upon that card. Become aware of where the patterns were situated within that image. Become aware of how many of the same patterns were in this image. Become aware of the background of the card, the trees, the colour of the trees. Become aware of the female that was stood in the card and how she was being presented. Become aware of what she was wearing and the colours that she was wearing. Become aware of what the female in the card was holding and doing. And become aware of any other animals, objects, symbols, patterns, or things that stood out to you within this card. And let the imagery that you are viewing within your mind now with your eyes shut, let this simmer away for a moment. Try to receive it in the exact way you saw it. Sitting there nice and still, just let these images and these colours, patterns within this card just remain situated within your mind's eye. And now what I'd like you to do is I would like you to now imagine that you can now see the female within the image starting to turn her head towards you, and watch as you see her head turning, and watch what happens. Do you just see her head turning towards you? How does it make you feel? Is it igniting your clairsentient, sensing or feeling? As you watch her turn her head and look at you, now just imagine what her face looks like. And again, just watch and receive whatever comes in. Does the image now start to change? Does the colouring change? Does the background change? Do more of the colours become stronger or less? Does the image completely change? Does the female change to a different age, different genre, era, different coloured hair? And just be with whatever you are seeing. Perhaps you feel a different emotion or sensation now. Perhaps you feel happy with what you're seeing, or perhaps you feel a little bit uncomfortable with what you are seeing. Either way, whatever you are feeling is okay and you are safe. But what you will be seeing from this image changing is something that you yourself individually need to receive. So now in a moment, I want you to open your eyes and just bring your attention back to this particular card. And just now notice how different it became, or how you managed to maybe keep it the same. And either way, whether it stayed the same, or whether it completely changed, or just aspects changed, either way, there's no right or wrong. Your experience is your own, and whatever you saw was completely appropriate and right for you to see. Okay? So just soak in all of this and just really notice, did the colourings change? Was there any colours that really stood out? Did you remember the suns? Did you remember the wording? Did you remember the butterflies? Did all of that disappear? Did she stay the same and the background change? Or did you see her head turning? When her head turned, did her face look different and did she change? These are all questions you need to be aware of and you need to write down and ask yourself. Did she try to say anything? What did she do when her head turned? Perhaps you just saw her head turn just for a glimpse and then the image went. Perhaps it got more cloudy or more hazy. Perhaps it dipped in and out of seeing visuals and then it going cloudy. All of this is natural. All of this is okay for you. Perhaps you were able to keep the image, perhaps the image did change, but you were able to keep the image fully in your mind and see and watch everything changing. And if so, that's completely okay as well. So all of these things will help you to understand your clear seeing internally, okay? So with regards to what you saw, I invite you to explore that. Write down every single aspect of what you saw, what you received, what changed, what happened, and then what other clairs were ignited. What did you feel? What did you sense? Did it scare you? Did it make you feel uncomfortable? Was you intrigued? Did it make you feel wow? Did you actually see anything? Were you able to see? Remember, I said if you wasn't able to see, that's still okay. Because if you wasn't able to see, were you actually thinking or feeling things? So this is your chance to really explore that experience that you just had, okay? So even if you didn't see particular things, you were experiencing something. Now, my next question, which I would like you to write down your answers to, is did you start to feel that you were led into a story and start to see other things that felt like they wasn't even linked to this particular picture? And if so, please write down what you saw and what you experienced, how it merged into something different, okay? So the importance of this technique is just because I'm showing you a particular image, that is influencing the mind slightly, okay? But what it's teaching us is that actually we can see and take in aspects of an image, but it can teach us to exactly what we're actually receiving, what we're taking in, how we view things. And already there are signs there because of how we view the image that we are seeing, how we feel when we look at that image, okay? So as I said, whether you felt happy, whether you liked it, whether you didn't, and you wasn't bothered with it, that's all fine because this is all helping you to trigger other clair sensories and help you to understand how your clear seeing is working through an influenced image, okay? But what we did then was we then switched it and I then asked you to close your eyes and focus on what you remember seeing, okay? So straight away, there may have been a reduced amount of things that you remember, or some of you may be very good at taking in many aspects and storing it and withholding it within your mind's eye. Okay, so this in turn is going to teach you whether your clairvoyance, your clear seeing internally is strong. Because if you stored it within your mind's eye and you were able to take in every single aspect and see it very clearly, then and you were able to keep that momentum going even when I asked for you to change her head around, then this would suggest that you do already have quite strong clear seeing internal sensory working for you, and that will be how you store many things, okay? And if you felt like it was quite hazy, or it was quite like dipping in and out of an image, or things seemed to be moving or changing, and you wasn't quite sure like what you were seeing, this is absolutely fine, but this will probably detect that your clear seeing sensory is maybe less strong than some of your other senses, okay? But it doesn't mean that you can't strengthen this, okay? So as I said, we are all very visual people in some way or other, but there's a big difference between being visual with our eyes open to actually just to spending the time just sitting still and being visual with our eyes shut. We will be walking around in life, doing our day-to-day business, working, sorting the kids, being with people, whatever it is we are doing in our day-to-day waking life, we will be receiving the signals of clear seeing internally and externally as well sometimes. But it's down to us to actually receive properly and become aware of these visuals that we are actually seeing. Okay, so it's in our day-to-day waking life, it's harder to be aware of these imageries that are coming into our mind because we're so busy, we may not be realizing that we're receiving these images. But actually, when we can become more aware and practice things like this, we will actually start to be being more open and more aware in our day-to-day life. And this can be very, very beneficial for us regarding our clear seeing sensory. So we've got another task coming up, which I would like you to try. And please do try this technique with different objects or pictures or images and see how you get on. Now, I don't want you to get put off by looking at images, okay? Because we think we can influence our mind by the images that we see. And yes, to an extent we can, but what we need to become more aware of is as we look at images on TV, on a poster, in a magazine, on a billboard, a card, whatever it is we are looking at, as we see this image, we will already be receiving certain aspects of that image that stand out to us, or certain aspects that make us feel something. Okay, so depending on what the image is, will depend on what shift we have energetically with how we feel, what we then think, what we then do. Okay, so it's important to remember that yes, some of our clear seeing internally can be starting off with an influence, but actually we still have our own individual personal experience from it. So here's the next task for you, okay? So we've got another card coming up, and I'd just like you to watch this card and then do what I guide you to do. So again now, with this lovely image, I would like you to just start soaking in all of the colours, all of the detail, all of the aspects. Remember, we all see colours differently and in different shapes and forms. And become aware now of how this image makes you feel. Do you like this image? Do you not really like this image? Don't worry, either way is fine. Look at the patterns and the lines and the little dots and shapes. Look at the background. Look at what image, what colours, patterns, what it symbolises to you. Does some of it already, when you're looking at it with your eyes open, does some of it already merge or change? And now I'd like you to close your eyes, and I'd like you to now begin to receive the shape of this flower, exactly how you saw it when I first showed you the card. The colours now coming in, where the patterns and the lines were situated within this flower, the background, what stood in for you with regards to this flower, any other aspects of this image that stood out to you. And I'd just like you now to just be in this moment of stillness within your mind and just hold on to that image of this flower. Test yourself and just keep it there. Don't worry if it's dipping in and out, that's very natural. But just know that you are still focusing on this flower. And now I would just like you to imagine that the petals of this flower are turning from this beautiful pink colour into a lovely blue colour. Whatever blue you see, and just watch these petals just start to merge and change colour. See if you can see these petals changing, and if you do, what type of blue are they changing to? Is it a nice light blue? Is it a nice deep blue? And as they change and you see how the colour forms, this blue colour, how does this colour make you feel? What do you think when you see this? Are you seeing it changing very clearly? Or again, is it hazy and dipping in and out of imagery? Now I'd just like you to see and just focus with this colour now being blue. I'd like you to now focus and see if this image changes from a flower, and just see what you start to receive now visually within your mind, but also become very, very aware of your thoughts, your feelings, sensations, hearing, anything else within your mind, body, or energy. And just watch for a moment. Perhaps you become aware of a loved one and you're thinking of them now. Perhaps you're becoming aware of a particular situation within your past or your life. Perhaps you're thinking of someone else and you're wondering why. Whatever you see, feel, or think, stick with it, because this is completely right for you right now, and there will be a message or some sort of signal or guidance within what you are seeing. And it's important to assess how you are feeling. Keep this image in your mind of what you are seeing now. And now I'd like you to just open your eyes and just bring yourself back to the awareness of the original picture that you first looked at. And just start to soak all of that back in and start to become aware of exactly what changed from this picture. When did the colours come in? Did you see the new colours? Did they come in for part of the flower, or did the whole flower change? Were you able to recognise exactly where the patterns were and the lines, the background, how the petals formed, and the shapes within this image? Were you able to hold this image clearly in your mind, or was it hazy and dipping in and out? And remember, there's no right or wrong. So whether you held it in clearly or whether you saw it dipping in and out and it was hazy, that's okay, because this is just teaching you and showing you where your sensory system is right now. So now just become aware of how that changed for you when I asked you to just focus now on the flower being blue and what you saw and what you felt, what you started to become aware of, what changed for you. Okay, and I would like you to write all of that down, and I would like you to make sure you cover all aspects, exactly what you saw, what you heard, what you felt, what you sensed. Was it clear? Was it hazy? Did it dip in and out? Did it suddenly change and suddenly a completely different image was coming in? Become aware of exactly when these were being triggered, these different senses were being triggered. Okay, because this is important to expand and to build upon your senses. So I'm going to let you write that down, and I'll be back with you shortly for another task. So this next task is more focused on mediumship, okay? So you will remember from the short video where I discussed the difference between psychism and mediumship, and I also covered it a little bit in the first introduction of the Claire's video as well. So it's important to start discovering the difference between our psychism and our mediumship, and which one we hold more energy towards, which one we are more connected with, whether we're more psychic, whether we're more mediumistic. Okay, but actually sometimes we can roll it into two and we can discover that we are both, and that's absolutely normal as well. Our clairvoyance, clear seeing, can also start connecting us to spirit as well as psychism. Okay, so again, training in mediumship clairvoyance techniques can also help to strengthen our mediumistic side, but it can also actually benefit our psychism side. So I've got a picture that I'm going to show you in a moment of someone who has passed over. And what I'm wanting you to do with this picture, remember to have your pen and paper ready, is whilst you focus on the picture, you are going to be remaining to receive using your clear external, you are going to be receiving what you get within your mind, but don't forget there are going to be other clairs that are going to be ignited, okay? So here is the image, and what I'd like you to do, just ignore obviously the lines here because I've had to hide some of the writing because otherwise that would give some things away. So this image I would like you to focus on. Now this man has passed over, so he is in spirit. And I would just like you to begin to focus on if you find yourself becoming aware of receiving information about him. Start to just focus on the picture. Take in the detail of what he's wearing, what his hair's like, his eyebrows, his eyes, his nose, his mouth, the shape of his face. Soak all of that in and allow this information to now start to trickle in. Perhaps you've already started to receive lots of different information. Perhaps you haven't received much, but don't worry. Either way is absolutely fine. And as you look at this picture of this man, I just want you to ask him in your mind to start to show you, if he hasn't already, aspects of his life. Remember, this is a clear seeing session. So remember to focus on your mind's eye and what images you are now receiving based upon the initial image you first saw. Remember, we can never just keep something as a clear seeing because every clair ignites other clairs. Maybe one clair will ignite many clairs depending on the task you're doing or depending on your skill set, or maybe it could just ignite just one other clair. And that's fine because each different task we do, and especially when we're connecting with different spirit, we will pick up different things. This is why it's important to strengthen each of our clairs so we can actually pick up on more and more. So just allow these images that this man is showing you to start to unfold within your mind and watch what happens. Is he showing you a memory? Is he showing you of something he did or used to enjoy doing? Ask him what his hobbies were. What did he enjoy doing? What was his passion in life? And watch what you get and notice, is it just a flash of an image, or are you seeing an image being played out and it's moving? Be really, really aware. Now ask him the question, how did he pass? How did he pass away? And become aware again of any images now that are coming into your mind, and possibly physical sensations maybe are being ignited if they haven't already. Perhaps you can feel a little bit of pain or uncomfortableness somewhere within your body, which helps you to decipher if there was health issues that he held or how he passed. Become aware of your emotions. How does this man make you feel? How did it make you feel when you asked him how did he pass? Again now, I'd just like you to focus on his personality. If you haven't received things about his personality already, like what character was he? Was he funny? Did he like to have a laugh? Was he sad, anxious, depressed? Was he a hard worker? Or perhaps he didn't work? Ask all of these questions and listen and see and feel what you are receiving. Be really, really aware of what your body is doing and what your mind is doing. And remember, if you aren't seeing, that's still fine, because some other Claire will be being ignited by this. Ask him for more aspects of his life. For example, was he married? Was he single? Did he have children? Did he have siblings? And really, really just be aware. Just let his story unfold. The beauty of mediumship is, once we realize that we are connecting to spirit, whether it's a loved one or someone who we never knew, the beauty of this is we can just let it unfold and let them tell you their story. Because actually, people who have passed over have the right to tell their story. And he will most definitely be giving you something about his own life story. Okay, so now I'm just going to remove this image for a moment. And I would just like you to take a few moments, if you haven't already, to just start writing down exactly what you experienced when you looked at his picture, exactly how it came in, when it came in. Really be aware of when it came in, how it came in, and then suddenly how you felt or any other imagery that came in. Because if you were seeing different imageries coming in, it would have been linked to him, okay? So it's important to be aware of that. So even if it seemed really random to you and something that you would never sort of normally see or think about, remember you was focusing on him, so he will be giving you something, an imagery about himself. Remember as well, you may have heard things, sensed things, felt emotional, felt pain, and that's all normal too, because from using the initial clear seeing internal and external by looking at this image would have ignited those other clairs. So I'll give you a moment to just write down every single aspect that you experienced, and we will move on to the next stage. Okay, so for this next part of the stage of this particular task, I'm going to show you a series of pictures that are of this same man that you just viewed. Okay, and it's important to still be aware. So you may think, oh, I've just worked on this particular man, but actually the importance of this is to understand, especially with mediumship and the clairs coming in, is that we all hold so many different aspects and times of our life. So whether we're experiencing clear seeing, memories from the past of someone who's still alive, or of ourselves, or someone who has passed over, there will be all of this energy from one's life to the moment they were born, to the moment that they passed over. Okay, so this will be interesting to see what you pick up from the same man, but from a different period of his life. So here is the pictures. So you can see there are 3 particular pictures here, okay? And I would like you to just go to the first image of these 3 that you are drawn to. And just focus on the first one that you were drawn to. You may be drawn to more than one, or there may have been one that really caught your eye and that you felt something from, or you felt you needed to connect with first. And I would just like you now to just focus again on the image that you have chosen to work on, and you can work on all 3. And I would just like you to start to soak in how he is positioned in the image, what he's wearing, what he looks like, how he is situated, the background, and how this image makes you feel. And you may already be soaking in information. But remember, focusing now on your clear seeing sensory. I would like you now, based on the image that you are seeing, or the images that you are looking at, to now ask him again to show you something about either himself or the particular times of his life when these images were taken. And I would like you to just watch what you see and let it unfold. Become aware of if it is clear imagery you are receiving, if it is a still image or a moving image. Become aware of if it is dipping in and out and hazy, or flashing to lots of different images. Again, remember, if you are not seeing much, that's still okay, but just be aware, be very aware of how you are feeling, what you are thinking, if you can hear anything, if you sense anything, if you feel any emotions, or physical pains, or physical sensations. And remember, if you are feeling emotional or if you are experiencing some physical sensations, just ask him. Double check. Ask in your mind, is this something you experienced in your physical body? Or is this something that you felt when you was alive? Again, ask him to give you detail or to show you detail within your mind of aspects of his life when he was in these times of his life. How did he feel himself? What was going on for him? Was he having fun? Was he having a good life? Was he married then? Or was he single? Had he found particular hobbies? Was he working? And again, just see if you can understand, feel, or sense his personality in the image you have chosen, or perhaps you're picking up on all 3. And just see if you feel like his personality changed over the course of the times within these images and that first image where he was older that you saw. And just again, really give him the respect and allow him to just tell you whatever he wants to tell you or show you whatever he wants to show you. And again, remember, even if it's random, just trust in what you see. Say in your mind, ask him, is this right that I am seeing this? Is this a part of you or something to do with you? When you ask the questions, you begin to structure your intuition and trust in your intuition. Questions are very key to our psychic and mediumistic development. Okay, so now I'm going to move this image away. And I'm going to give you a few moments now to write down what you experienced. You can either write it down as in image 1, 2, and 3, or if there was a particular image you was very drawn to and you wanted to focus on, please write about that one. Some of you may have been more focused on one and been receiving lots from one. Some of you may have been more focused on more than one, and either way it's still absolutely fine. But I do want you to be aware that if there was a particular image that you didn't necessarily feel drawn to out of those three, ask yourself why if you didn't already. Do you feel like possibly that was because maybe it was a time in his life that maybe wasn't as good as the other images, and you was getting that mixed up with feeling like you wasn't drawn to that, as in that it could have actually been that maybe you was actually feeling like it was a bit uncomfortable? Or was you drawn to all three and you was willing to go with it? So remember, if you get a negative feeling or negative emotions or pains, or a positive feeling and positive emotions and sensations, please do stick with it, because it's important. This is an important key part of our psychism and our mediumship and learning our clairs, because sometimes we will look at things, as I explained earlier, and we will feel like blocked, or we will feel like we're backing off because we may be detecting a negative energy or something negative that's happened or surrounding that image. Okay, so it's important to be aware of when that came in, if that did come in for you, and likewise with the positive energy as well, because actually we can sometimes get that mixed up and think, oh, I'm not liking this exercise, or oh, I don't like this man, or something like that, or oh, I'm not very good at this. But actually, it's important to ask the question, was I feeling a bit blocked or was I feeling a bit negative because this image held the energy of that, or this man possibly at that time in his life felt like that? Okay, because when we are doing our clairs and our psychism and our mediumship and connecting to the spiritual world and spirits, we will be picking up on all sorts. So it's very, very important to start becoming aware, because actually we can get it cross-wired and think that it's ourselves. So I'm going to let you just pop that all down for a few moments in your notepad, and we will then move on to the next stage. Hey guys, so we have the final stage of this little task, okay, and we are still working with the same man. So I'm now going to show you an image of when this man was younger, a lot younger than those three images that you just saw. And I would like you to do the same thing. I'm going to guide you into it and help you to understand more so what's going on for you. And then I will reveal some aspects of him at the end of this video. So this is the third and final image of this man that I'm going to show you. And this is when he was very young. So I would like you to just, from straight away from looking at this image, just start to look at it, soak in again the colour of the image, the era of the image, what he was wearing, how he stood, his face, his features, the background, and how this image makes you feel. And I would like you to now just start to soak in how you think he was as a child. Was he particularly mischievous? Was he a happy child? Was he a sad child? I would like you to ask him if perhaps his family were around him when he was young. What type of family and upbringing did he have? Perhaps you can tell from this picture sort of roughly what age he was in the first picture. Or ask him what age he was here in this picture and what age he was when he passed. See what you get. And focusing on our clear seeing internally, I'd now like you again to just ask him to just, if he's not already, start showing you some more imagery of this time in his life. So don't worry if you do see him older, because he may well still be showing you imagery of other areas in his life, and that is fine. But just let that flow, but just keep in mind that you are now asking him to show you something from his earlier days, if he hasn't already. And remember to become aware of the sensations you feel within your body, any emotions, any physical pains. Become aware of if you hear anything or sense anything. Again, become aware if you taste or smell anything, because those are some of our clairs too. And just let his story unfold again. Be really, really aware of these images again. Are they fast moving? Are they slow? Are they still? And remember, if you are not seeing any images or not seeing much images, this is fine. Just become very aware and assess what else is going on within your mind and your body. Ask him if he tells you or shows you what happened in his childhood. Did he like his childhood? Did he like this time of his life? Did things change in his childhood? Is there any sudden differences that you feel? Again, remember that emotion that you feel. And now I would just like you to give your thanks to him. Give your thanks for letting you work with him. And I'd like you now to just go to your notepads and write down for the third little task with his younger self, and write down exactly what you experienced, when and how it came in, what other clairs you felt igniting, what other senses, feelings, emotions you saw. And remember, if you saw other imagery that seemed a bit random, know that it will still be linked to him. And I will be back with you in just one moment when you have finished doing your writing. So I will reveal some information about this lovely man, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to reveal it in a separate video, because if you want to go back and review these tasks again, I don't want to influence what you get. Okay, so check out for the separate video which will be posted within this module. Okay, so I just wanted to explain a few little things here. So with the mediumship side and working with our clear seeing, hopefully you've been able to tell the difference compared to the imagery that you first saw with the drawn pictures and an image of an actual person who once lived. So let me know, post on the private Facebook group your experiences of what you received for each task. Please post on there you know, the differences, whether you liked the task, which one you preferred, what you got from each task. Let me know if this has helped you to understand more so what's happening, and also let me know how things moved and changed, and whether you did have a strong clairvoyance coming through, or whether other sensations within your energy and your body were coming in stronger than the clairvoyance. Please do pop all of that over in the Facebook group, because that's where we can engage more so. And also you'll be able to see other people's comments and have a good chat and see what other people received, and see if other people got the same as you, or see if they got different. Because remember, there are so many aspects of one's life when you're working with spirit, but there are also so many ways in which we as individuals view different imagery. Okay, there are so many other types of clairvoyance techniques as well, which I have got to show you in coming months and coming classes. So this will not be the end of our clairvoyance teachings, because our clear seeing is ongoing and ever going. But I would like you to continue practicing some of these techniques. So also, something else that you could try is to receive an image off of a friend, if they don't mind you practicing on a loved one of theirs who possibly maybe you didn't know, and actually just do some photo work. This does come under psychometry as well, okay? Psychometry with mediumship. So when you're looking at an image of a loved one passed over, what I would suggest is, one, ask permission first, but two, get your friend or a family member to give you an image of someone who you did not know, because this will help you to, one, not influence your answers, and two, when you get things right, you'll be like, wow, you'll have that light bulb moment. Okay, so it's really, really important to do this, because we can continue to ever focus and ever learn. So one thing I did when I was really hungry to understand my mediumship side and to understand what was coming through, was I actually ended up setting up a group online where I did online public photo readings. I just did short little mini ones, and I did it for free for people. And with this, I set a certain time of the month every month, and it was only once a month, because you have to also be aware of your energy and not give too much of your energy away for free. But in this space, people would get excited and they would post or send me their images of loved ones that they wanted to hear from. And I sat there and I would do as many of these photos as possible. And it was very, very interesting, because I was able to receive and become more and more aware of all of my clairs that were being ignited. Now, as I said earlier, with different images of different people, I had different obviously different results come in. Some I found harder than others, and some I just breezed through it and got lots of significance. But as I started to learn along my journey of doing constant photo work and practicing, was that actually I started to realize this isn't me who's blocked and who's finding this difficult. It's actually, I started to realize I was picking up on the actual person who was possibly going through a very difficult time. So when I actually started to realize this and I asked the questions and suss it out, I was then able to get the links and understand more so why it was difficult for them, and why I felt blocked when I would look at a particular image of them. So some more hints and tips for this particular session is, I always give thanks when we're doing mediumship and we're working with photos. So firstly, I have checked with this man, and I do know him, okay, and I do connect with him myself now that he's passed over. But when I decided to use his image, and I have done it in past classes as well, I did also actually check with him for his permission to use his image. Okay, so again, what I would say is, if you are going to get yourself into a situation where possibly you end up merging into teaching or helping others, you must always make sure that, one, you ask permission of the family members or friends first, and that you use their loved one's image, and two, you actually ask permission of the loved one who has passed over, if it is okay to work with him. Secondly, I always give thanks at the end when I have worked with a spirit or a loved one passed over, whether I knew them or not, because for me, when doing mediumship, it's really important to still remain respectful, because actually for me it's a way of being and it's a way of life, and I have been a medium for a long time. And actually, I've seen how from improving my mediumship skills and from connecting to spirit each and every day and working and doing readings for so many people, I'm connecting to so many people's loved ones. And one, they are enabling me to develop my skill set and develop my spirituality. Two, they are also helping me to continue furthering my business in a positive light. And three, I'm giving them the respect to tell their story and to continue forward with what it is they want to do. Because when they pass over, some of them will have a various little goals or projects that they'll be doing on the other side. Some will be significant guides for particular people. Some will be off doing other bits and bobs. Okay, so it's really important to always say thank you and show your respect to them and give them love, because actually, you know, they deserve that. And that is really a huge thing for me. It really feels important within my heart, and I know that you guys will actually feel that too. Okay, so please do make sure you do that. So another thing to just note is I would like you to really have a good think now after you've practiced all of these tasks, and I would like you to notice the difference from the first task to the second, and then to the third. And then within that third task, there was 3 little stages with that task. And I would like you to notice the difference from the psychism tasks, which was the first 2 cards, to the mediumship task. Let us know on the group which one, as I said earlier, which one felt stronger for you. Do you feel that your mediumship was kicking in quite strongly, or were you more drawn to the psychic 2 cards at the start? Because again, this is another little thing for you to start understanding, is, as I explained, the difference between the psychism and the mediumship that is working within you. Perhaps they're both working quite, you know, at the same level, but perhaps one is more prominent than the other within your energy system at the moment. And remember that just because maybe one's more significant at the moment, it doesn't mean that the other one can't kick in. Okay guys, so that's it for this session today. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope you have enjoyed the task. Please redo the tasks when you feel like it, and I will be popping on the results of this man in a separate video, so please do make sure you look out for that. And if you come and join this membership a little later on, please do not cheat and look at the results first, because it will only stump your development and your improvement. Okay, so lots of love, and I'll see you over on the other video. Bye.